The Siren's Song. Our first night at the beach house was magical. The ocean waves provided a soothing soundtrack as we settled into the cozy living room, the warmth of the fireplace contrasting with the cool sea breeze. My husband, Tom, and I had been looking forward to this getaway for months, a chance to escape the city and unwind. As the moon rose higher, casting a silvery glow over the water, we began to hear it. A hauntingly beautiful melody drifted in through the open windows, delicate and enchanting. "Do you hear that?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Tom nodded, his eyes fixed on the horizon. "It's mesmerizing." We stood on the porch, listening to the song's ethereal beauty. It felt like a gentle caress, inviting and impossible to resist. But as the night deepened, the melody grew more insistent, its allure tinged with something darker. That night, I dreamed of the ocean. I was standing at the water's edge, the song calling me to step into the waves. It felt so real that I woke up gasping, my heart pounding. Tom was already awake, staring at the ceiling with a troubled expression. "I had the strangest dream," he said, echoing my thoughts. The next few nights were the same. The song played, more compelling each time, and our dreams became more vivid. We found ourselves waking up closer to the water's edge, with sand between our toes and salt in our hair. It was as if the siren was pulling us into her world. Determined to find answers, we searched the house and found an old journal hidden in a dusty corner of the attic. It belonged to a former occupant and detailed similar experiences, each entry more desperate than the last. The final page was a frantic scrawl about the siren's song and how it had claimed the lives of those who had stayed there before us. "We need to resist," I said, clutching Tom's hand. "We can't let her take us." That night, we tried to block out the music, closing the windows and playing loud music. But the siren's melody seeped through, relentless and more powerful. Our dreams turned into nightmares, and the compulsion to walk into the ocean became nearly unbearable. Desperate, we decided to confront the siren at dawn, when her power might be weaker. As the first light of morning touched the sky, we walked to the shore, armed with nothing but our resolve. The song was faint, but still present, a whisper on the wind. We stood at the water's edge, shouting into the waves, "We know what you are. We won't be your victims." The ocean seemed to react, the waves growing turbulent. For a moment, I thought I saw a figure in the water, a beautiful woman with a sorrowful gaze. Her eyes locked onto mine, and I felt a surge of emotions: loneliness, anger, and a deep, ancient grief. "Please," I whispered, "let us go." The siren's expression softened, and she began to sing once more. This time, the melody was different, less haunting, more mournful. Slowly, the compulsion faded, the song losing its grip on us. As the sun rose fully, the figure vanished, and the ocean calmed. We knew we had been spared, but also understood the weight of the siren's sorrow. She was a tragic guardian of the sea, forever bound to her song. We packed our things and left the beach house, grateful to be alive. The siren's melody lingered in our minds, a reminder of the fragile line between beauty and danger. We promised ourselves never to return, but the memory of that haunting song would stay with us forever. Leaving the beach house behind, Tom and I couldn't shake the memories of the haunting melody and the sorrowful gaze of the siren. The drive back to the city was long and silent, each of us lost in our thoughts. The siren's song had touched something deep within us, something that couldn't easily be forgotten. A few days after our return, we began to notice strange occurrences around our apartment. At night, we'd hear faint echoes of the siren's song, as if the ocean had followed us home. Objects moved on their own, and a cold, damp chill settled in the air. It felt like we were still under a spell. Determined to end this nightmare, I decided to do some research on sirens and their myths. I spent hours at the library, poring over ancient texts and folklore. What I found was both fascinating and terrifying. Sirens, it seemed, were bound to their waters, but their influence could extend far beyond if they forged a connection strong enough. One legend stood out. The only way to break the siren's hold completely was to return to her waters and perform a ritual of severance, a way to release her from her ancient bond and free ourselves from her lingering influence. The ritual required items that represented our deepest fears and sorrows to offer as a final act of letting go. I shared my findings with Tom, and although he was skeptical, he agreed that we needed to do something before the situation worsened. We gathered the necessary items: a letter from Tom's deceased father, my childhood teddy bear that had comforted me through countless nightmares, and the locket containing a photo of our lost pregnancy. These items held our most profound pains and fears, the perfect offering to sever the siren's hold. We returned to the beach house, the air thick with tension and fear. As we stood by the shore at dusk, the siren's song began again, stronger and more sorrowful than before. We walked into the water, the cold waves lapping at our legs, and spoke the words I had found in the ancient texts. The wind picked up, and the water churned around us. We threw our items into the ocean, each splash echoing like a heartbeat. The siren's figure appeared once more, her eyes filled with ancient sorrow and hope. As the final item disappeared beneath the waves, her song changed, now a melody of release and peace. The water calmed, and the figure slowly faded away, a serene smile on her lips. We stood there, shivering but relieved, feeling the oppressive weight lift from our shoulders. The connection was severed, and we were finally free. We returned to our city life, but things were different now. The shadows that had followed us were gone, and the faint echoes of the siren's song no longer haunted our nights. The experience had changed us, deepening our bond and our understanding of the unseen forces that linger just beyond the veil of reality. The siren's sorrowful melody had been a reminder of the delicate balance between life and the mysteries that lie beneath its surface. We vowed to honor that memory, living our lives with a newfound respect for the ancient and unknown. The beach house remained in our past, but its lessons would stay with us forever, a haunting echo of the sea's eternal call. The Haunted Lighthouse. When we first moved into our beach house, the old lighthouse at the end of the shore seemed like nothing more than a quaint piece of local history. Its weathered exterior and broken windows hinted at years of neglect. But every night, without fail, it would light up, casting an eerie glow over the crashing waves. Curiosity got the best of us. My wife, Rachel, our teenage son, Max, and I decided to explore the lighthouse one afternoon. The locals warned us against it, sharing whispered legends of a mad keeper who had caused a shipwreck, leading to the deaths of dozens. But we brushed off their tales as superstitions. As we approached the lighthouse, an unnatural chill filled the air. The door, hanging off its hinges, creaked ominously as we pushed it open. Inside, the air was thick with dust and the smell of salt. The spiral staircase, covered in rust, wound its way up into darkness. "Do you think it's really haunted?" Max asked, his voice echoing off the stone walls. "Only one way to find out," I replied, masking my own unease with a forced grin. We ascended the stairs, each step groaning under our weight. At the top, we found the keeper's quarters. The room was a mess of overturned furniture and broken glass. On the wall, a faded photograph of a stern-looking man in a lighthouse keeper's uniform caught my eye. Rachel picked up a tarnished logbook from the floor. "Look at this," she said, showing us pages filled with frantic, almost illegible writing. Words like guilt, madness, and shipwreck stood out among the scribbles. Suddenly, the temperature dropped, and we heard a faint whispering. Max pointed to the window. "Look." Outside, we saw the ghostly figure of the lighthouse keeper. His translucent form moved with a tortured grace, eyes hollow and desperate. He seemed to be replaying the night of the shipwreck, signaling frantically to an invisible ship. "We need to help him," Rachel said, her voice trembling. Determined to uncover the truth, we dug into the local archives. We learned that the keeper, Samuel, had indeed caused the shipwreck. Driven mad by isolation and grief over his lost family, he had lit the lighthouse on a stormy night, leading a passenger ship to its doom on the rocks. Back at the lighthouse, we decided to confront Samuel's spirit. Armed with our newfound knowledge, we climbed the stairs once more. Rachel held the logbook out, speaking softly. "Samuel, we know what happened. It wasn't your fault. You were ill and grieving." The ghostly figure turned to us, his expression shifting from madness to sorrow. He reached out, his hand passing through the logbook, and for a moment, the whispers ceased. A sense of calm washed over the room. "We forgive you," I said, my voice steady, "but you need to forgive yourself." The lighthouse's light flickered and then went out, leaving us in darkness. When it came back on, Samuel's spirit was gone. The air felt lighter, the oppressive weight lifted. In the following weeks, the lighthouse remained dark at night. Its haunting finally ceased. We had uncovered the tragic story of Samuel, and in doing so, helped him find the peace he so desperately needed. Our beach house no longer felt like a resting place for restless spirits, but a sanctuary where past wrongs had been righted. The locals still whispered about the haunted lighthouse, but we knew the truth. Samuel's story was one of sorrow and redemption, and we had played a part in bringing it to light. Even now, on stormy nights, I sometimes gaze out at the darkened lighthouse, remembering the ghostly figure of Samuel and the night we freed him from his torment. The beach house had given us more than a place to live. It had given us a connection to the past and a reminder of the power of forgiveness. The weeks turned into months, and our beach house became a cherished home. We often invited friends over, sharing the eerie yet cathartic tale of the haunted lighthouse. It was a story that left them both spooked and intrigued, adding an extra layer of mystery to our coastal retreat. One evening, as the summer sun dipped below the horizon, we hosted a small gathering with our closest friends. The sound of laughter and clinking glasses filled the air. Max, now more attuned to the paranormal, had grown interested in local folklore and was eager to share our experience with anyone willing to listen. As night fell, Rachel and I stood by the large windows, looking out at the lighthouse. It stood dark and silent, a monument to the past. Just as we were about to rejoin our guests, a flicker of light caught my eye. The lighthouse beacon was faintly glowing again. "Do you see that?" I asked Rachel, my voice tinged with concern. She nodded, her face paling. "It can't be Samuel. We helped him find peace." Determined to understand what was happening, we decided to investigate. Our friends, intrigued by the sudden change in our demeanor, insisted on coming along. Armed with flashlights and an uneasy sense of déjà vu, we made our way to the lighthouse. The night was eerily quiet, the only sound being the gentle lapping of waves against the shore. As we approached the lighthouse, the light grew brighter, casting long, ghostly shadows. Inside, the air was cold and charged with an electric tension. The spiral staircase loomed before us, leading up to the keeper's quarters. We climbed in silence, each step echoing ominously. At the top, we found the room just as we had left it, but there was an undeniable presence. The faint glow of the beacon cast an otherworldly light on the walls. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows, a different spirit, not Samuel. This ghost was a woman, her face etched with sorrow and desperation. She seemed to be searching for something or someone. Rachel gasped, recognizing her from the old photographs we had found months earlier. "That's Samuel's wife," she whispered, her eyes wide with realization. "She's been searching for him." Understanding dawned on me. While we had helped Samuel find peace, his wife had remained trapped, unaware of his redemption. They were two lost souls, separated by time and tragedy. We need to reunite them, I said, feeling a surge of determination. We need to bring her to Samuel. Max stepped forward, holding the locket we had found in the attic, the same locket engraved with Emily's name. Maybe this will help, he suggested. Rachel took the locket and approached the spirit. Your husband is at peace now, she said gently, holding out the locket. He's been waiting for you. The ghostly woman paused, her ethereal form flickering. She reached out, her fingers brushing the locket. As she did, a sense of calm filled the room, and the oppressive atmosphere lifted. A soft glow emanated from the locket, and the figure of Samuel appeared beside his wife. Their spirits embraced, finally reunited after decades of separation. The light around them grew brighter until it filled the entire room, and then they were gone, leaving behind an overwhelming sense of peace. The lighthouse light flickered once more and then extinguished, its purpose finally fulfilled. Back at the beach house, our friends were in awe, their initial skepticism replaced by a profound sense of wonder. We had not only unraveled a mystery, but had also been part of a story of love and redemption that spanned beyond life and death. The lighthouse, now truly silent, stood as a testament to the power of forgiveness and the enduring strength of love. Our beach house, once merely a home, had become a place of healing and connection, bridging the gap between the past and the present. As we settled back into our lives, the whispers of the past faded, leaving us with a profound respect for the stories that had shaped our home. And on quiet nights, when the wind was just right, I could almost hear the gentle hum of the lighthouse, a reminder of the spirits we had helped find peace and the extraordinary journey we had undertaken together.